On the topic of trash, I know a lot of people got quite energized about the issue of banning styrofoam on the island. And there's some folks in this audience who'd like to know, should that kind of bill be introduced again? And then how does the business community play into this? Because clearly it's a cost to the business community if styrofoam was completely banned. So just a fairly short answer, if you can, how would you address that issue of styrofoam? Is it an issue we need to relook? What would your position be?
Well, I think any movement towards the reduction of non-biodegradable products is a movement in the right direction. It's going to help preserve our environment, preserve our natural resources. However, I believe there's a systematic approach that needs to be taken with implementation of such reduction, especially because we know that this would have an adverse effect on our small business owners. You know, here in Hilo, we have so many mom and pop stores that we want to keep alive. We want to be able to give them the business. And maybe as it stands today, you know, it's more expensive to use, recyclable material. So as long as we're able to systematically implement these changes in the reduction of the use of those products.
Ms. Leloy.
Yes, could you repeat the question?
A lot of people have asked the question about styrofoam. That clearly was a topic before the Hawaii County Council. And the question is that something that should be readdressed? Should we consider banning styrofoam? But I'd like you to balance that with a look at those who were not in favor of the way it was going to be done and how you as a county council member would address the issue of styrofoam. And
styrofoam. So yeah, it's balance. Right? We need to find balance. We need to look at legislation that creates balance. And I back up a little bit, and I say this all the time, rubbish is not sexy. So when you have a conversation about rubbish, it's challenging. But what we found with the styrofoam is for the amount of that going into the landfill, there's still bigger percentages of rubbish going into the landfill. And I would rather tackle, through policy and legislative making, to tackle those bigger chunks that are going into our landfill and plan for those next steps so that our business community, and let's face it, the small business community really is the backbone of a thriving community. When our families can transition and pass on their legacy of a business to their family members, that's success. And that's the kind of success I want to plan for.
Okay. Ms. Green, what do you think about the styrofoam issue and how you would address it in the county council?
I feel that penalizing our small businesses is wrong. We should go back to the producers of these styrofoam and talk to them. I feel that more research should be done, and we should be looking at, styrene in those takeout containers. I think is less than the exhaust from some of the cars that we see out on our road. That's only doing some of my research. But I think that we should, I know I love to be compostables. I love, every time I go in a restaurant, they give me one of them, I say yay. But I really think we should go through the producers first before we start banning, because it's going to hurt all our little businesses, and we have a lot of, I don't want to go into a restaurant and they say, you banned the styrofoam, get out of my restaurant. So, let's go to the top before we start banning everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. OHara.
Regarding the proposed ban on styrofoam, it was only for takeout containers, and I think therein was the discussion. There's a lot more styrofoam entering our waste stream that is not just from takeout containers. I would think that starting with takeout containers is a good place, because the truth of the matter is I had an event last weekend, and I went to the sustainable products place and I bought compostables. Guess what, folks? They were cheaper than buying styrofoam. This is starting to be the case. So while we have this idea that it's much more expensive, in actuality, it isn't. And it will provide new business opportunities in our community to start using the compostable materials. So I'm not so sure that I would have voted against that ban. I think I probably would have voted for it because it's a step in the right direction. And it isn't because styrofoam is entering the landfill. Unfortunately, a lot of the styrofoam takeout containers compose our illegal dumping, and they don't go to the landfill. They are not properly processed, and they do end up in our streams and our coastal waters, where they can do great damage to marine life, fish, etc. So I think it's very important that we start somewhere with the message of we need to get these types of materials out of our waste stream entirely. Thank you.
Thank you.